So when I was growing up, I am the princess of Poppipo after all, but we lived in a pretty small house. So small, in fact, that we didn't have enough bedrooms for everybody. So to avoid me and my brother having to share a room, we both ended up living in the attic. But the attic had like 2 rooms. Well, okay, the attic had 1 room and a hallway. And my parents were like, you know what this hallway could be? It could be another bedroom. And so my brother's room was in the hallway in the attic. So anytime I wanted to leave my room, I would have to walk through his room, which is kind of messed up when your brother is in like high school or any grade of being a brother. And you are not. Like, it was like there was no privacy. There was no privacy. For him, I had some privacy because they put me in. They were like, oh, well, your sister's like a girl, so she should have her own room. And you can sleep in the hallway. So I got my own room and he had the hallway. But I remember he would use that to psychologically torture me sometimes. Like, one time he got speakers in his bedroom. And he was like, I don't remember. I said, I remember I was being annoyed because him and his friends were being too loud and I was like trying to sleep or whatever. But like it was his room and my room were connected. And so I just like opened the door and I was like, shut up. And so I like went back to my room and I tried to go to bed. And then they just started blasting. There was just all this giggling. And all of a sudden I just heard, I was like, what the fuck? They just started blasting like, boom, boom, boom. They just started blasting it, and I was stuck in my room listening to it like, stop! Or like I was watching some cultured media one day, and I was enjoying my cultured media, and then all of a sudden my brother busts open the door and just goes, what are you doing? And I was like, ah! There was no fucking privacy! When you share a door with your sibling's room, there's no fucking privacy. Oh, but even better, the attic had an extra room. I'm pretty sure, dude, this attic was sketch as fuck. But the attic had an extra set of rooms that were really, really hard to like get in and out of. But I was really small. I'm really, really short, so I could get in and out of it. We usually kept it for storage, but I made a small path in there over the years. And the attic had a door in my closet, in my attic room. It was like atticception. The attic had an attic. So in my room, there was this tiny, tiny door that led to another attic. And in his room, there was a tiny, tiny door that led to the same attic. And so one time he was like in his room with like a girl and I was like, ew. And so I went into the attic and I crawled through there and I got to his door and I just started slamming on it like a fucking poltergeist. Like I just went like, it was like quiet. They were like, ee, ooh. And I just suddenly was like, do. And she like screamed and he was like, what the fuck? And I was like, ah! But then he punished me by putting like a chair underneath the door so I couldn't even come out of it. And then I had to call my parents by removing the vent cover and then going, Mom! Because I couldn't get out of my room because he locked me in it. And I was like, Mom! Because the vent in my room went to the laundry room. And so I could hear anything that happened down there, which meant that I just had to wait for my mom to go do laundry or go down to the laundry room. And so I just go, Mom! Mom! But here's the worst thing, though, is that my parents never really put 2 and 2 together about the fucking laundry vent. And so, you know where my parents' preferred fighting spot was? They're like, let's fight away from the kids so we don't give them issues. So you know where they'd always go? The fucking laundry room. And so I'd be sitting in my room and they would just be like, I just don't understand why you're so... And I was just like, stop! Stop fighting in the laundry room! I don't need to hear about what you guys do at night! Stop fighting in the laundry room! Yeah, anyway, so I lived in like the worst, like tiny, shitty little house as a kid. Eventually, my brother went to university though, and so I got my room all to myself and the hallway all to myself. But when he came back, he was like, I don't want to live in the freaking hallway with my kid sister. So he ended up living in the basement. But there's no door in the basement, so we just put up a curtain. We were like, good enough. There you go. There's your room. Like, I did not grow up with like any like a nice house or anything like that. But you know, I still feel like I had a pretty decent home.
I actually think it was the opposite. Your parents wanted to give you issues so that you could.
Bro,
be the
you're not
funniest
wrong
tuber.
though. Yeah, it was really sketchy living in the attic though, because sometimes there would be rats and I was like, ah! Like I lived in a Poppipo is a place that just has rats. It's like a common thing. Slime rats? Yeah, well one time though, okay, so I had a hamster. So on top of there being like mice in the house, just normal mice though. It wasn't like hoarder mice or anything. It was just like there's mice, you know? Every house has mice. I firmly believe this. And if you think not my house, you just haven't looked hard enough. I think every house has mice. I don't have mice. That's what you think. That's what you think. That's what you think. You think you don't have mice. That's certainly what you think. Well, so anyway, so I had a hamster, right? And my hamster hated being my hamster because I was a kid and kids shouldn't have pets. They don't really know how to take care of pets. But so my hamster, you know, my hamster was like chill. It was all right. But it got really sick and tired of being my hamster, so it ran away. It like busted the cap off the top lid of its cage and then it like ran off. And the worst thing is that I was like, oh, my hamster's gone. I was so upset. And I left out like little food for it, like around the house, like hoping my hamster at least wouldn't starve to death. And the worst thing was finding out that he joined a throuple with some other mice, because I would find this is how we found out we had mice. We didn't know we had mice until my hamster went missing. And then we found hamster poop, which is large, and then little tiny mouse poops. And we were like, oh shit, we have mice? Yeah, my hamster joined the mouse commune and was like living with the mice in my house. However, he did come home eventually because I stopped putting out the food after about a month because I was like, you know what? I'm not feeding your deranged kink relationship, okay? You need to have a normal monogamous relationship with me, your cage, and your water bottle, and sometimes that little wheel that goes, all right? So I stopped laying food around on the house, and I was like, good luck. But I did put food in his cage, and so he came back, or I thought he would come back if I'd put food in the cage. So one day I was sitting in the basement and I was playing Mario with my friend. And out of the corner of my eye, I was like, don't move. And I see my hamster crawling up the blanket that was on the table under its cage. It literally jumped and started crawling up the blanket. And then it jumped and it grabbed onto the water bottle like holder thing and climbed into its cage so it could get some food. And I slowly like, boom, and like slammed the lid back down. And I was like, oh my God, he's back. My hamster's back. Though in retrospect, now I just don't want a hamster. Like, that's why I have a guinea pig, is because guinea pigs actually like being in their enclosure, whereas hamsters don't. Hamsters make you feel bad about owning a fucking hamster. Like, hamsters literally just want to be wild. Hamsters don't want to be your pet. Guinea pigs don't mind being your pet though. So I don't want to have a hamster again. But like back then I was like, wow, like, I'm the winner. But yeah, that's how we found out we have mice. And you have mice too, and you just don't know it yet. If you have a crawl space, you've got mice. Sorry. It's just how it is. Even if they're not obnoxious, they exist. There's definitely there's no mice where I live. That's what you think. Anyway, unhinged story aside, I want to make things more interesting and creative too. Me too. Thank you for the motto. How did we end up here?
You've always been adorable, huh?
How did we end up here?
Oh happy gon' be silly pickle-chan. Oh happy gon' be, oh happy pickle-chan, 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 chan, chan, chan.